PetNomads, where the wild whispers and the unseen comes to life.
She bathed in the river. She slept on the couch. She ate mangoes right from his hand. She answered to her name. She wagged her tail when he called. But one day, she was taken. FILÓ, a capybara raised by a young man in the heart of the Amazon, became the center of a national controversy. What began as a story of love between man and animal became a legal, ethical, and emotional storm. Was this a case of compassion or the violation of wildlife laws? Welcome, PetNomaderz. Today's story doesn't take place in a far-off mountain or remote jungle, but in the backyards of Brazil, in the riverside towns of the Amazon, and in the glowing screens of millions of smartphones. This is not just about an animal. It's about a bond, and the fine line between love and law. Today, we enter the world of Agenor Tupinamba and FILÓ the capybara, and we ask the question, what happens when a wild heart is tamed by care, but not by permission? It started like so many stories in the Amazon. Quiet, hidden, almost forgotten. Agenor Tupinamba, a young agronomy student living in Autazes, a small town in the Brazilian state of Amazonas, woke up to the news that a mother capybara had been shot by locals. Left behind was her tiny, helpless baby, alone in the thick grass near a riverbank. Agenor didn't plan on becoming a caretaker. He didn't ask for a wild animal companion. But when he saw the orphaned capybara, barely able to walk, trembling with fear, he couldn't walk away. He gave her a name, FILÓ. He gave her warmth. And in return, she gave him something he never expected. FILÓ didn't live in a cage. She roamed free in Agenor's rural property, followed him like a dog, splashed in the river beside him, and curled up at his feet for naps. He built her shelters. He fed her fruits and grains. He took her to the river when it was hot. He taught her her name, and she learned it. She wasn't just surviving, she was thriving, loved, safe, relaxed. But what made FILÓ truly famous wasn't what happened in that yard. It was what happened on the internet. Agenor began posting videos of daily life with FILÓ. Short, heartfelt clips on TikTok and Instagram. FILÓ drinking from a bottle. FILÓ running in the rain. FILÓ playfully chasing Agenor across the yard. The internet fell in love. Millions of views. Tens of thousands of comments. A following that grew with each shared smile. People saw in FILÓ something pure. A wild animal at peace. A boy and a capybara in perfect harmony. But with attention came scrutiny. In April 2023, FILÓ was seized. The Brazilian environmental agency IBAMA, Instituto Brasileiro do Meio Ambiente, responded to public complaints. They fined Agenor 17,000 reais for keeping a wild animal without legal authorization and using her in content that generated profit. FILÓ was taken from him and transferred to a wildlife triage center in Manaus. To millions of online followers, this was unthinkable. To Agenor, it was devastating. "I didn't exploit her," he said. "I loved her. I saved her life." At the center of the storm lay a single question. Was this bond illegal? We spoke with experts in environmental law, wildlife conservation, and animal behavior to understand both sides of this emotional, complex case. Dr. Mariana Soares, wildlife biologist. Capybaras are wild animals. Even if raised from infancy, their biology and behaviors remain natural. Domestication in these cases is not truly possible. Caring for one may seem noble, but it can lead to unintended consequences: stress, malnutrition, or improper care. Dr. Rafael Lima, environmental law attorney. Brazilian law is strict about wildlife possession. Even with the best intentions, it's illegal to keep wild animals without proper authorization. Love does not equal legality. Dr. Sofia Andrade, ethologist and animal-human bond researcher. Emotionally, we cannot deny the depth of some human-animal bonds. In cases like Agenor's, there is clearly mutual comfort. But we must ask, is that bond sustainable for the animal in the long term? As news spread, the internet reacted. Petitions, protests, hashtags, support from celebrities and politicians, tears in live streams, tweets calling for her release. To many Brazilians, FILÓ wasn't just a capybara, she was hope. That humans and animals could coexist with kindness. The outrage pressured the courts to act, and they did. Agenor was granted temporary custody of FILÓ. She was returned to his property under conditions: no monetization of her image, periodic inspections by environmental authorities, proof of veterinary care and well-being. Today, FILÓ is home again, but the fight is not over. Her future, and the legal precedent her case sets, is still under debate. Her story exposed the gaps in Brazil's environmental laws. What happens when rescue turns into companionship? Should people be punished for saving animals when the system can't? Is it time to update regulations to reflect emotional bonds? The case of FILÓ and Agenor lives in a legal and ethical gray zone, a place where hearts and laws don't always agree. Let's ask the question nobody in court can fully answer. What happens to the soul of a creature like FILÓ when it's taken from the only home it's ever known? Can we measure the trauma of a capybara in exile? And what about the boy who fed her, sheltered her, trusted her? This story is more than viral views. It's a challenge to the way we think about nature and ownership. FILÓ and Agenor's story teaches us that nature doesn't always follow neat categories. Love may be real, but so is risk. Some bonds are beautiful, but dangerous in the eyes of the law. Wildlife conservation exists for a reason: to prevent harm, to protect biodiversity, to preserve balance. But as humans and animals get closer, through deforestation, urbanization, and digital intimacy, we need better conversations about compassion and conservation. PetNomaderz, you came for the story of a capybara, but you've just traveled through law, love, ecology, and the heart of the Amazon. So we ask you, was Agenor wrong to keep FILÓ? Was the law right to intervene? What would you have done? This is not a call to keep wild animals. It's a call to think deeper about how we respond when wild and human worlds collide. Because sometimes the jungle isn't just trees and vines. Sometimes the jungle is what we feel inside when love meets limits.